Hi! When designing a handmade greeting card, there are several decisions that need to be made. It usually starts with the stamp set, followed by, well, what color cardstock? And then the whole design process, well, even more questions come up. Well, my handmade card I'm demonstrating for you today started with the Stampin' Up! Painted Posies 3D embossing folder. The embossed flowers are gorgeous and really deep. And so I decided to add some color to them to make them stand out even more. So the question I have for you is, do you like the added color or would you have preferred it without it? The embossed flowers were so gorgeous that I didn't want to cover them up any more than necessary. The perfect solution was the Charming Sentiment stamp set and the coordinating Sentiment Silhouettes dies. You'll see why in just a minute. I'm Shelley Godby, and for 22 years, I've been teaching you how to create hand stamped smiles as a demonstrator for Stampin' Up! Through my YouTube videos and my blog, www.stampingsmiles.com. And so I also played around with the paper to use for the sentiment because of that desire not to cover up any more than necessary. I'm going to show you the others that I tried as well. Here's a closer view of the Painted Posies 3D embossing folder. 3D meaning you get this really deep embossed image, and see, aren't these beautiful? That's what I was telling you, they're so pretty. And this is a 6x6 folder. So what's cool about that is you can take the full size of a front of a card and you can place it this way for landscape. It'll go across the whole way, or again, big enough to go portrait. So very nice feature of the 6x6 folders. And it's such a deep image that it creates that it becomes your focal point. It's your whole card. You just add a greeting. And then talking about greetings, look at this, the Charming Sentiments and the coordinating dies. And so you have a very nice assortment of sentiments, and some of them have a greeting and sentiment, but the coordinating dies, they're going to cut them out perfectly. They die cut right around the image. And then you have some additional image dies with those. You know, you've got some hearts and stars, you can do present and flowers and candles. How cool is this? And they're all so very different. It's going to be easy to tell what die goes with which stamp. Okay, so we're going to start with a little bit of stamping our greeting. And so this is a photopolymer stamp set. And they come on a sheet, this acetate sheet, that lines up perfectly with the printing on the case, this insert for the case. Or, so you can leave them on that, or you can put them right on here. I prefer that because this does slide around, and I need to, you know, these are clear stamps. Well, mine's stained now, but they're clear, and it's a lot easier to read them when you can see the black printing. So I like to put them right on there, but that is your choice. And so I chose a clear block H for this. And, you know, these are more pliable than you might think. And so I'm sure you'd probably be fine to just go ahead and place it on there, but you may be pulling on it without realizing it. So I go ahead and place it down like this, and then take my mount to it. So now that is on it and we're ready to stamp. And I'm going to stamp on Bubble Bath cardstock. And I played around with colors. I tried black and it was harsher than I wanted. And so I ended up with the Pebbled Path. Really pretty. Pink and black are beautiful together, pink and brown. and so the black was darker than I wanted. So I tried the basic gray, and still like, oh, like I said, pink and black, pink and brown, both nice. This feels like somewhere in between the gray and the black. And this is one of the 23-25 in colors. So to open the lid, you pick it up and slide that in. Bring this over. It's still really juicy because it's so new. And I just need to stamp somewhere in the center. I don't need to be perfect. But that's what's nice about the clear stamps. I can see exactly where I'm stamping. And there we go. So now we are ready to die cut that. And to close it, flip and click and listen for that click. Make sure it's closed. All right. So what I need to do is grab my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, because with the same machine I'll be able to emboss and die cut. So I've got my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and we'll start with the die cutting. So what we need to do is build what's called a sandwich, and we'll use the plates that are included with the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And we'll start with plate number 1. And everything I'm telling you is printed on here, so you don't have to memorize it, but you can always come back and follow along with one of my videos. And then because I'm using a thin metal die, I need plate number 2. So I'm going to build it up a little bit thicker. And then I need a plate number 3, a cutting pad. And these start off perfectly clear, but you cut into them and they start looking like this. Remember the first time I cut into it, I about passed out. I thought I ruined it. All right, and so now we have our cardstock that we just stamped, and we need the coordinating die from the Sentiment Silhouettes. Isn't that a great name, Silhouettes? Because they do make a silhouette. And so I need that to stay in place. So I'm going to use a little bit of washi tape to hold my die in place as it goes through. There we go. Tear off a little piece. So I need to center my die around my greeting. I'm going to bring it where I can see it a little bit better. And hope this doesn't make a liar out of me. I couldn't believe how easy it was to die cut these. Like, oh my goodness. I could do that over and over and over. I'm going to leave it right where it is. And then I need another plate number 3. I'm going to set it on there. I don't want to scoot it and end up scooting the die. So I place it on, and then we just crank it through. And I have to say how pleased I am with how smooth it is using the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. It doesn't jump all over the place like something we had before. All right, so let's see how good I did. I shouldn't have said anything ahead of time. Jinx myself, right? All right, so let's peel that off carefully. And how cool is that? Look at that, die cut around all of the letters. All right, so now we're ready to do our embossing. So we're gonna use the plate number 1 again, okay? We're not going to use the thin one or a cutting plate at all on the bottom because these 3D embossing folders are so thick. But it's not going to hurt anything because we're not cutting anything. So what I have is some more Bubble Bath cardstock. Have you noticed that my base of, not my base, but this layer that we're going to emboss and my image are in the same color? That was by design. So I'm going to place this on here where I want it. And when I close it, go, yep, that's what I wanted. And so I'm going to put that on there. Fantastic. But I do need to finish with a plate number 3 to get this thick enough. And you do want to turn them this way. They're a little bit less narrow this way than that way. So do that. All right. And I think the fold, I don't know how much it matters. There we go. Oh, I messed up. You know what? I got so busy talking, I forgot. See, that doesn't work, but that's the cool thing. It doesn't hurt anything if you do that. It just didn't do anything because it wasn't thick enough. What I actually need is a specialty plate, this plate number 4. This is that's a little bit thicker and just thick enough for the 3D embossing folders. And all of these are included with the purchase of a Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. But say you have another machine with the same size plates, the Big Shot, for instance, you can order that separately. So you can use it with the 3D embossing folders. All right, now, because I was cranking going, that's not grabbing. Like, oh, Sholly. There we go. But again, so smooth. But wait till you see how deep this image is. It is just, oh my goodness, deep and gorgeous, isn't it? Our die cutting and embossing is done. So what we need to do now is cut our card base. And for that, I have a paper trimmer. I'm going to turn it this way so you can see the whole thing. You can do 12 by 12 cardstock. I'm going to turn it. Let me push those out of the way. And, you know, I can cut from either end with my blades. I just prefer them at the top. All right, so I have here a full sheet of 8.5 by 11 bubble bath cardstock, if that's looking familiar. All right, so I'm going to cut this in half along the 11-inch side, the long side. So half of 11.5 is 5.5. So I'm going to pick up that. I'm going to come over here. Here's 5, there's 6. That longest line in between is the halfway mark. And we're going to place the cardstock on the line, not next to it. So the dark blade, the dark gray, is the cutting blade. The lighter gray is the scoring. So I'm just going to pull this across, and voila, like that, I have 2 card bases. Okay, so one more thing to show you with this. If I just fold this cardstock without putting a crease in it, it's all crinkly. Not a good look. So what we're going to do is pick this up again. There we go. Now this is 8.5, so half of that I want to fold it in half is 4.25. So we've got 4, 4.5, halfway in between is our quarter. So again, we're going to place it on the line, butting it up to this edge to square it off. So we butt it up instead of coming down here, because you probably get a little wonky. And even if you had it perfect, when you start pulling a blade over, it might move. So use that edge, square it off. And so now I'm going to pull that scoring blade over it, and that puts a crease in there. So when I fold it, it has a nice, sharp, crisp side, and not one that's all crinkly. So let's go ahead and fold this. And so you go away from the fold, I'm told. I used to always fold it the other way. Never saw a difference, but that's okay. And I have a bone folder. And look, so I can go across here and get that good crisp fold. Look at that. No crinkles on the outside or the inside. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so I told you wondered what you're going to think, if you're going to like it left as it is or with some color on it. And what I decided to do was to take the coordinating bubble bath classic Stampin' pad. All right, so I'm going to pick this up, slide that in, and I have a small blending brush. I'm going to rub it on here, load it up, and then just lightly go over the flowers. And so, you know, they get colored. They stand out from the back of the cardstock, but still in that same color. It's just a really cool look. And what I really like about this, now I'm not applying hardly any pressure, but the cardstock isn't getting all colored. It's these raised flowers that are picking up the ink. So giving that little bit of contrast to the layer. Do you like how that's pulling that out? And so you'll leave a comment for me and tell me if you like the added color or if you prefer it like it is. And I really liked both. I love hearing what you think. I do think it's so cool that we can do this and not have that color all over, that it's just hitting the highlight, or, you know, the embossed, the raised part. There we go. So we're going to go ahead and push, flip, and click. Probably going to be wishing I had my stamping sleeves. Felt my finger touch that. All right. And so now I have some Pebbled Path cardstock. Aren't these colors beautiful together? And this is only an 1/8 inch smaller to give me a small, I just want a little hint of color, 16th all the way around. So I have to be more careful when layering. And I'm going to have a link to my blog post with all the measurements and a PDF with a picture of the card and the measurements, so you can download that if you want. Now, anytime I have embossed cardstock, it doesn't lay as flat, right? You don't have the too smooth things to put together. So typically I use mini glue dots, but I am falling in love with the Stampin' Seal Plus. It is saving me a lot of time. And so it's meant for the heavier things. So see, this is opaque here. I'm going to put my finger there. And because this is such a deeply embossed, I'm going to go along the whole perimeter. Whoops, okay. I just caught, sometimes that happens for me, I'm not sure why. But okay, so normally when I'm layering, I'm telling you an inch in each corner, but embossing is a different animal. Okay, and so come over here. It's going to end up going on here, so I'm going to do this so I can see a little better. And get that where I want it. That's looking good before I press down. So there we go. That little bit of the pebbled path is really making that stand out. So we have this or that. So as is, or with the added color. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and adhere this, and I'm going to use Stampin' Seal. It's a good adhesive. It's not as strong, for the heavy things as this. I could use this for that, but I don't need to, and this is less expensive. So here, everything is flat, flat here, flat on what it's going on to. Stampin' Seal will work beautifully. Okay, my mat needs to stay in place. And there we go. Oh, so pretty. These flowers are just phenomenal. This is the first time I played with this embossing folder. All right, so now we have our greeting. And, I wanted to show you a couple other things I did the first time because I really wanted this to all stand out. I thought, well, vellum, everything will show through. And it was fine, but it just felt too dark. I had just the pink at this point. Or you know what? Yeah. And so then I tried, no, this is actually, I'm a lying skunk. This is not the black. This is the basic gray. And so then I tried smoky slate, like, oh, that's not working. And so then I went to the pebbled path instead of vellum. I thought, let's do, because this just blends in with it then, right? The pink with the pink, it just blends in, making it not so obvious at all. Instead of just sticking this on there, I wanted to dress it up a little bit. So back with my Stampin' Seal Plus. There, get it going a little bit. Come back there. And I have the Pebbled Path ribbon. So we're just going to go ahead and cut. We don't need a very big piece for what I have because remember, I'm trying to let those flowers just really stand out. Fold this in half. There we go. And press right there. Let's see whoops, from the front. Oh, it's up higher than there we go. Very nice. Okay, and now it's sticking to that adhesive, so I'm in good shape. And we're going to use my favorite accessory. Ha ha ha. It's not an accessory, it's an adhesive, but I love the Stampin' Dimensionals. So just laying this flat on there, I've got these foam adhesive dots that's going to let that give it some dimension. Stampin' Dimensionals, there's the name. But that added lift between the layers can really dress things up. Okay, that side was coming up. This one looking, so if I press down with my thumbnail, the edge pops up, and look, my thumb's really short. Thumbnail, it's not about that. I want to spread this out a little bit better. There we go. Oh, very nice. And then right about there, wishing you everything wonderful for our handmade card with the gorgeous painted Posies 3D embossing folder. That was sure quick and easy to make, wasn't it? If you'd like to make my painted Posies 3D embossing folder card with or without the added color, all the supplies are listed below the video and available to order now in my online store, www.shopwithshelly.com. When you place your August 2023 Stampin' Up! Order of $50 or more with me, I'm going to send you one of my painted Posies cards. So get on over now to my online store, www.shopwithshelly.com. I'm Shelly Godby, teaching you how to create hand stamped smiles. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.